You know, pro wrestling can be a wild, untamed demon. In this world where you love it or you hate pro wrestling. So, this has been another wild week in the world of pro wrestling. Now, we've got a little bit of talking to do today. We have news on Chris Jericho. He's upset some of the nerds and the sickos out there. We've also got news on Joe Hendry. In the most unsurprising news that you will hear all year. And we've also got news on my guy Mike Santana losing the TNA World Heavyweight Championship to Frankie Kazarian. LOL TNA. We're going to go into all this. We're going to dive in. Remember, like, comment, subscribe. Give me what you think about the world of professional wrestling. So at the top, shall we? We're going to start with Joe Hendry. Now, as you know, Joe Hendry has always been the talk of the town about going to the WWE. Um, we all knew it was a matter of when. Joe Hendry was going to WWE. Fightful put out a dropped the news last night. I only found out this morning, by the way, because I don't tend to live on social media all night. Joe Hendry finished up with TNA. He is now part of WWE, and Joe Hendry could debut tonight. Well, full time tonight on SmackDown, or he could be on Raw against boring Solo Sikoa. This is the most unsurprising news I think I have ever seen. Joe Hendry was always going to WWE. WWE probably had a telescope on when Joe Hendry's deal was going to run out in TNA. So this is an unsurprising news. Hendry has featured a lot in NXT. He is scheduled to team with Thea Hale to face Ethan Page and Chelsea Green for the AAA Mixed Tag Team Championships. Now, they're not going to win. I mean, come on. At the moment, the hottest thing in NXT right now is Ethan Page and Chelsea Green. I don't know why Joe Hendry is going to start in NXT. WWE's got to look at the bigger picture. SmackDown right now is one of the worst shows on television apart from Collision. And Collision is awful. Last week, I watched SmackDown, and I kid you not, after the Chelsea Green Julia match, I turned it off. I did not want to watch the rest of the show. I ended up having to look, I ended up having to chill in JD from New York's chat because I was so angry at the Julia Chelsea Green outcome. Joe Hendry should be on the main roster. I don't give a shit what people say. Joe Hendry, there is no reason for him to be in NXT, if unless you are having Joe Hendry to beat Ethan Page at well, he's going to be facing. He's in that tag match with Thea Hale. You know, Joe Hendry could face LA Knight on SmackDown tonight. Hendry should be on the main roster. Goodness me, why is keeping him in NXT? There's no need. And we're going to get to NXT in a few moments. And for me, SmackDown needs all the help it can get. Have a couple of call-ups, for goodness sake. Joe Hendry should be number one on the list. And WWE have done this to be very, very strategic. The money that they will make off Joe Hendry's name, he will sell merch for a laugh. You look at Penta. When Penta came in January, Penta sold a piss load of merch in 24 hours. That made Mr. Zero Miedo a very rich man. And with TNA as well, WWE have a telescope on some of the talent. You are looking at Leon Slater, who is going to be in a match with Javon Evans against Dark State on Tuesday. I think it's this Tuesday or next. I'll have to have a look. And WWE may also have a telescope on other TNA talent. Look at Moose. Are they going to keep an eye on Moose's deal? Are they going to keep an eye on the Iconics? Ali. Would they bring Ali back to WWE? I'd like it. I think with Hendry, main roster, are they going to push him? I don't know. SmackDown needs all the help in the world it can get. There's no Orton, there's no Owens, there's no Bianca. The women's division is a shambles right now. I look at SmackDown and I think it is the worst wrestling division. I've been so critical of AEW. I'll admit, I've criticized the piss out of AEW. And many people think, that I despise AEW and I take the piss out of AEW every week. I don't hate AEW. I don't. But the problem is, all these dumb, stupid merdas out there all think that I am all fed. I'm a fed guy. All I do is 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 be obsessed with WWE. I am not. I'm a fan of all wrestling. I watch the freaking independent circuit. I criticize the fuck out of SmackDown in the Max Wrestling chat. The group I'm in, I appear from time to time on the show whenever I do get an opportunity. But I think I'll be having a lot of free time soon anyway. I won't name why, but at the end of the day, SmackDown right now is fucking awful. It is trash. So Joe Hendry, please put him on SmackDown. Please. I freaking plead you. And that's Joe Hendry, the biggest, worst kept secret I think in history. And I think you look at TNA now, they're now going to be a feeder system for WWE. I can see Moose going there soon. I could see Ali going back. The Iconics could go back. Would they take the Elegance brand in? Would they even take Tessa Blanchard in? I don't know. But Joe Hendry going to SAP, even though me and SAP blocked me on Twitter, and Fightful blocked me as well, but I don't know why. I didn't do nothing to him. But we've going to see Hendry hopefully tonight. If it's not, it's going to be on Raw. If not, it's going to have to be NXT. So be prepared for Joe Hendry. Chris Jericho. Now this caused a fucking shitstorm by the sickos and the geeks online. As we know, Chris Jericho is in AEW. Well, for now. We believe that Jericho's deal is going to expire at the end of the year, and the rumors are flying that Jericho will return at the Royal Rumble. Now, I have another vision of what I think will happen with Jericho. I'll get to that in a second. So, on his recent Talk is Jericho podcast, Chris Jericho had Matt and Jeff Hardy and the Dudleys on this show. I watched the whole show. I thought it was great. It's great to see that. It's just sad. Like a part of my childhood's dead now. The Hardys and the Dudleys' feud is finally done. End of an era for me. 25 years I've watched pro wrestling for, and those two were part of the catalyst of why I fell in love with the product in the first place. So we're going to get to what Jericho says. So this is a transcript for what someone's put on. I don't think I've watched a TNA match in ages, if not this decade at all. I was so impressed. Well, first of all, you guys had a match. It wasn't even a match. It was the beginning part when you guys even locked up. It was at the end part after it happened. Like that. He's getting goosebumps, by the way. Yeah, we know why. That's pro wrestling in the ultimate form. That was one thing. Two, the crowd looked fucking huge. It looked huge. It was a WWE level crowd. The place was packed. I was watching this and not saying anything out of school here, but comparing it to Dynamite when it was in the 2300 arena, which looked like a Tony Condello taping. I don't know what that is. Sorry, it did. TNA looked like the second biggest company in the world, and that was amazing. And the presentation was amazing. End quote. Jericho's done. Chris Jericho is done with AEW. The sickos need to get it into their fucking system. Jericho is seemingly trying to get out of Guantanamo Bay, which he's now in when you got Dax on the door. You've now got Ricochet probably protecting the door. You've now got Taya Valkyrie, who's now going to be protecting everyone. You're going to have all the sickos all saying he's fat, he's ugly, blah, blah, blah. And by the way, Jericho recently dropped a photograph of himself on Instagram, and Jericho looks fucking huge. He looks in the best shape I think I've ever seen him look in his career. Jericho, for me, is going to happen two ways. Number one, he will return at the Royal Rumble. Now, the Royal Rumble is in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. And Saudi Arabia loves the Attitude Era too much. They will recognize Jericho straight away. And by the way, I could not care if it's Break the Walls Down or Judas that they play. I would love Judas to play. Now, it depends on what character Jericho is going to play. I would love to see the Painmaker. I would like to see, remember the Anton Chigurh gimmick? Probably the best television I've ever seen Chris Jericho do. Maybe The List. Jericho can have a fuck full of matches. You look at Rollins. You look at Braun Breaker, Bronson Reed, LA Knight, Roman, Punk, Cody, McIntyre. You name it. And then you look at as well AEW. I don't think if he resigns with AEW, and then I'll be amazed. Unless Tony pays out of the asshole for Chris Jericho to retain his services. So number two, we recently found out that there's going to be a Saturday night's main event in Toronto. And where is Chris Jericho from? He's from Canada. He's from Winnipeg. It doesn't matter where Jericho returns. I'm all for it. And you're going to get the wound up sickos all crying, like I said to you just now. They're all going to cry about Jericho being a traitor, being a Judas, pun intended. And I bet you, when Jericho won when they won the AEW title for the first time, they were glazing him in like a Krispy Kreme donut, and they were also glazing Jericho for that great feud he had. He's had, I love the Inner Circle. I love that feud with the Inner Circle. But if we get the learning tree, then it's get off my television. But with Jericho, part-time, only when needed. Have a match. What if you have Talk is Jericho going to be in the archives, which would be neat. I would love that. It looks like that Chris Jericho is now trying to escape Guantanamo Bay. He's alongside other victims such as Private Party, Britt Baker, Camille, and hopefully it'll be a matter of time when they escape, which I'll get back to you. And last, oh Jesus Christ, do I have to get into this? Last night on TNA, Mike Santana, my guy. I love Mike Santana. I've loved his work. And everywhere he's gone. I watched him in AEW. I watched him in Hog. I've watched a lot of his matches on the Indies. Mike Santana is fucking great. As you know, Bound for Glory, Mike Santana won the TNA World Heavyweight Championship from Trick Williams, beating his demons, and then Mike Santana brings the TNA World Championship back to TNA. Last night, in one of the dumbest creative decisions I have ever seen. Mike Santana lost the TNA World Heavyweight Championship to Frankie Kazarian. Let me reiterate that to you again, guys. Mike Santana lost the TNA World Heavyweight Championship to Frankie Kazarian. Now, before all these nerds all come and have a go at me saying, oh, I'm disrespectful, I don't give a shit. This is my platform. I say what the fuck I want. I respect Frankie Kazarian. I respect how loyal he's been to TNA. He's been a great servant. He's one of the OGs of TNA. And am I happy Kazarian won the world title? Yeah. I don't care if he's near in his 50s. Kazarian still looks a fucking beast for his age. But to do Mike Santana dirt after 4 weeks of winning the world title at one of the most successful Bound for Glory shows that they've ever done. It's crazy. Now, I'm looking at this in two ways. One, Santana may have an undisclosed injury. We don't know. There's nothing by SAP. There's nothing by Uncle Dave. Take it with a grain of salt. I'd probably take it from SAP. He's probably a better reliable source, even though me and SAP don't see eye to eye on a lot of shit. But an article there is talks that Mike Santana's deal with TNA is up, which is next month. It's not to think, but we're in November. Isn't it crazy to think that we're in November? And there was interest by WWE in Mike Santana. I can see it happening. NXT call-ups are imminent. Trick Williams is ready for the main roster. Ethan Page is ready for the main roster. Obafemi is ready for the main roster. Hell, I even go on record and say Ricky Saints is ready for the main roster. Even though Ricky's champ, Ethan Page is the North American champ. SmackDown needs bodies, man. Even though I would not even dare put Obafemi on SmackDown, otherwise he's fucked. I'd have Obafemi on Raw any day of the week. But Mike Santana losing last night was a disgrace. To lose in 58 seconds to a cash in by Kazarian. It's a lull TNA moment, or Santana has an injury, or his contract is up. But to do him dirt, but not at least put the fucking title on him, they put the belt on him for 4 fucking weeks. Is that a bargaining chip to keep him? Mike Santana's probably looking right now and think, you put the belt on me for 4 weeks, why should I fucking stay? I can't see Santana staying in TNA. He ain't going back to AEW. Fucking hell. AEW can book for shit when it comes to someone like Mike Santana. I can see Mike Santana ended up in NXT. Give me the match between Ricky Saints and Mike Santana any day of the week. Santana's work has been incredible. I'm like I said, I'm a Santana guy. I vouched for him to be the one to beat Trick Williams to win the TNA title. Got what I wanted. But 4 weeks, whoever made that creative decision needs to look at themselves and think, what the fuck have I just done? I could not believe it. I have not watched Impact yet. Now, I don't think I will because I'll get angry. But yeah, I can see Mike Santana ending up in NXT, which I look forward to a lot. Because you think of the matches at Santana, he can actually, and with the TNA partnership as well, who would say no? You think of the matches as well. If Mike Santana ends up on the main roster, Mike Santana against LA Knight, Punk, Cody, McIntyre, Rollins, Jericho. That would be a little bit of an inner circle reuniting. And if Ortiz's deal's done, get Ortiz. You could reunite him. because tag team division right now sucks. Tag team wrestling right now in WWE, AEW, and TNA is terrible. The only shining light about the tag teams in TNA is the Hardys. And by the way, Leon Slater as well, with Javon Evans. Who, by the way, if Mike Santana ends up in WWE, there's also going to be Leon Slater, Telescope. TKO is going to get that fucking telescope ready. And when his deal is up, Slater's going to end up in WWE. Simple as that. You could even look how I look at this with this TNA NXT partnership. The ones who got released end up in TNA because they may be use for them in the future. Jordan Grace was always going to end up in WWE. Joe Hendry was always going to end up in WWE. I said to a few earlier. Moose may end up in WWE, who would have been Vince McMahon's wet dream, by the way. I could even see one time, and I hope to God it happens, that Matt Cardona comes back. But anyway, that's the news for today. If I got any news that's come through to my phone, there is thankfully nothing. But tonight, you are going to see me tonight. I am going to be on with Mike Larkin later on this evening, 9 o'clock my time. It's going to be 4 p.m. I think his time. We're going to talk about a few things. We're going to talk about AEW, WWE. We may even talk about this whole thing with TNA. I don't know. Remember, hit the like button, smash the share that subscribe button, and I'll see you all later on. Oh, and by the way, in terms of the Wrestling Retro Rewind, I am doing my flaming best to get this content up as quick as I can. At the moment, I am stumped for time. So I think I've unfortunately got to work for now. Yeah, there's a lot of rumors about that going around at the moment, actually. So yeah, I am going to try and get. I might start with sadly reviewing SmackDown. I will be watching it, unfortunately. Can it be as worse as last week? I hope to God not. Anyway, hit the like, hit that subscribe button, share the content. Let me get me up to 400. Let's get up to 400 subscribers. That'd be great, and then I can start getting the dreams. Get to 500. I need you guys' help, and I would appreciate it a lot. Anyway, thanks for watching. Like, subscribe. Streams may be returning. Keep in mind in the future. I'll see you all later.